My mom said my presence would ruin the trip, so I canceled everything they planned with my money and watched it all fall apart from afar. They planned the perfect family vacation, every hotel, every train, every glass of wine in Tuscany, without telling me a word. But they made one mistake. They used my money. My mother grabbed me aside and said, "Next week is special, and you being there would ruin it." My father added, "You're too different now." I clinked my fork to my glass. Duly noticed. That night, I reversed all Italy charges, locked their URL passes, and canceled their airport connections. At check-in, they were denied everything. My brother's text arrived first. "Unblock the account now," I responded. I was so enraged that I couldn't sleep. They arranged everything without me. A perfect holiday in Italy, from Venice to Florence to Rome. Everything was meticulously planned. Luxury hotels, high-speed trains, exclusive vineyard tours in Tuscany, and dinner reservations at restaurants where you must know someone to even be on the wait list. They planned it on their own and utilized my money to do it. Not one mention of me. Nor my name, nor my daughter Lily's, nor my son Ethan's. Just my mother, father, sister Brooke, her husband Tyler, and their 2 children. That was the family they envisioned, the one that counted. It hit me when I received the email confirmation. It wasn't intended to come to me. Brooke must have forwarded it by accident. It showed everything. Dates, passengers, and the schedule, and it felt like someone punched me in the chest. I sat there rereading everything, hoping to see my name somewhere in the footnotes. It never arrived. Mom proposed the idea 6 months ago during one of our regular Sunday dinners. She stated that she had always wanted to take a large family trip. She stated that she wanted the kids to experience Europe while they were still young. She added that Brooke and Tyler were short on cash and asked if I'd be prepared to help handle the initial expenses. She said she will settle it later. Without hesitation, I replied, "Yes, of course." I recently secured a large consulting contract and wanted to do something special for the family. Something that would help us become closer. I paid for the entire thing. Flights, hotels, boarding cards, and so forth. Then they cut me out altogether. I didn't approach them immediately. I waited till Sunday. They were all there, acting as if nothing had happened. Mom prepared baked ziti as if it were just another Sunday. Dad spoke about golf. Brooke sat there smiling, as if the knife had not already been twisted. After dinner, I casually mentioned the trip, saying, "Ital sounds beautiful this time of year." Silence. Mom looked at me and said, "Next week is just special, and having me there would ruin it." Dad leaned back and remarked, "You're too different now." Nobody disagreed, none of them spoke up. It seemed as if they had all practiced it. I clinked my fork against the glass. Duly noticed. I did not argue. I did not ask for an explanation. I took my kids home and helped them prepare for bed. And once the home was quiet, I began to work. Everything remained in my name, including hotel rooms, passes and transfers. They hadn't touched the bill. They did not even have the decency to conceal their arrogance. I reversed each charge one by one. Freeze the travel cards. I locked the train passes. We canceled the transfers. The hotel reservations are no longer Lily-illable. I sat back and watched everything burn. Tyler sent his first text message at 7:42 a.m. the next day. "I've unblocked the account now." I said, "Sorry, I'm too different now." Then followed the calls from Mom, and emails from Dad. Brooke texted me a screenshot of her crying daughter and claimed I was being unkind, but I did not respond. They intended to focus this trip on their family. Okay, let them find it out on their own expense. They were still unaware that this was only the beginning. They strutted into JFK like they owned it. First-class tickets with matching baggage sets. Tyler even wore loafers without socks. He seemed to believe that this automatically made him European. Brooke's Instagram story, captioned, "Chia Bella," featured a boomerang of champagne glasses clinking. I wasn't even upset at that point. I was simply waiting. They had no idea anything was gone. I had not just reversed the costs and canceled the appointments. I had contacted each motel and described the scenario. Canceled the Rome airport car service and the Chianti Vineyard excursion. I reported the URL passes as stolen. Changed the login information for the travel portal. Left no sign that the journey was ever theirs. I knew exactly when it began to fall apart. Their flight was scheduled to board at 6:40 p.m. At 6:12 I received a text from Tyler. "Why are we denied boarding?" Then, "Brooke, did you cancel the flights?" Then came a flood of calls. Everything is neglected. It must have been chaotic. 4 parents and 2 children stood at the gate, astonished, trying to figure out why a trip that was meant to be completely paid for suddenly did not exist. Brooke may become loud. Tyler pretends to be calm. Dad attempting to assert some fictitious authority. Mom is probably just standing there mad. Someone told her no. I sat in my kitchen with Lily and Ethan, helping them bake pizza from scratch. They knew nothing. I wanted it that way. They continue to believe that Grandma and Grandpa had to cancel their vacation due to unforeseen circumstances. Approximately 9 p.m. The text tone shifted. Tyler, you are acting psychotic. You're harming your own family. Brooke, your children will hear about this someday. I did not respond either. I allowed the silence to work. Then Dad sent a message that nearly made me chuckle. You have embarrassed us. I said, you've gone too far. I hope it was still special. Next morning, I noticed their car in the driveway. They returned 20 hours after flight, defeated and drained. That's when the new game began. The second stratum of this entire tragedy. At 3:47 p.m., the doorbell rang. It was Mom. No makeup. Hair pulled back. Her tone ranged between neutral and annoyed. She did not begin with an apology. Not even close. She said, "All right, you have made your point." I let her speak. She went on to say how such acts build wedges in families. I needed to be more tolerant, and it wasn't fair to spoil something they had planned for so long simply because I felt excluded. Following this, she stated, "Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about the backyard. The contractor's still scheduled to start next month and we don't want to lose the date. Your dad said you might be able to help cover the deposit." I gave her a look. She truly believed I would come around. Some part of me still wanted in. That money was simply something I would always provide because that is what I had always done. I nodded slowly. "Let me check my accounts," I said. "I'll let you know by the end of this week." She smiled as though she had won something back. She left satisfied. And that was ideal, because it was now my turn to play. The silence was strategic. I could tell they were allowing me just enough space to save face. Calculation, not respect. In their views, I was presumably sulking, regretting my actions at the airport, and running out of steam. They expected me to return with a check and an apology, as I usually did. They didn't comprehend that something had finally shattered in me. On Thursday, the first feeler arrived. Brooke texted as if she were contacting a coworker. "Hey, Mom mentioned you were thinking about helping with the backyard project. Please let us know so that we can confirm with the contractor." There was not even one question in there. There was no warmth, only the blank family tone they used whenever they needed anything. I left it unread for several hours. Then I replied, "We're still sorting things out, we'll let you know soon." That quickly changed into tomorrow, then the day after. By Friday morning, Mom had sent a longer note. "The contractor requires the deposit today to hold the schedule. We're attempting not to miss the fall installation window. Could you confirm?" I wrote back. "I might be able to ship half. Let me check with my bank." I did not check anything. Saturday, nothing from me. Sunday is still peaceful. Monday, Dad called. I watched his name appear on my screen and let it ring out. A minute later the text arrived. "We are not attempting to put you under pressure. All we need is to know what's going on so we can plan accordingly." I texted back. "I totally get it. Should get an answer soon." And I let it stretch again. Brooke sent a voice memo on Wednesday afternoon. I didn't even listen. Just looked at the waveform. She was most likely pretending to be kind, understand, and act as if everything was normal. Later that night, I finally responded. "Talk to the bank today. Small issue with a flag transaction. I think I can send it by Friday." That was the final hook. The one who made them wait again, made them circle another date on the calendar in anticipation. Friday arrived and passed. No payment, no message. Saturday morning, Dad wrote, "We told the contractor we'd handle it ourselves, don't worry about it," followed by a different message from Mom. "If you still wish to contribute later, every bit helps." I could sense the frustration building beneath those remarks, not because of the money, but because I wasn't doing what I was used to doing. Save them. Smooth it all over. Make the discomfort go away. And now they were trapped with their agony. Brooke emailed a photograph that night. Their backyard had patchy grass with a few white markers designating where a patio may have gone. She captioned it, "Still hoping to accomplish something before the weather turns." I did not respond. I simply stared at it. The space between us was no longer uneasy. It was expanding with purpose. For the first time in my life, I was finished making sure they were okay. And they were just beginning to understand what that meant. A week passed with nothing but stillness. There was no note from Mom, Dad, or Brooke. No nice nudges in the backyard. There have been no developments about rescheduling the trip. Just nothing. It might have seemed tranquil if I hadn't known them so well. They were not moving on. They were regrouping, waiting for me to leave, and making me believe I was the one who had walked away. Then a completely unexpected event occurred. I received an SMS from my cousin Rachel. "Hello, just checking in. Grandma is terribly upset about the Italy situation. You okay?" It completely stopped me. Grandma? She had not been mentioned once in the entire fiasco. She lives alone in Albany and has not traveled in over a decade. She sends handmade thank you cards and remembers everyone's birthdays. I always avoided family drama. I asked Rachel what Grandma was concerned about. She proceeded, "Brooke told her you canceled the trip out of nowhere and made them lose thousands. Grandma's confused and thinks you might be having some kind of breakdown." That's it. They were already altering the story. I was no longer the man who had to foot the tab and was excluded. I was now the erratic son who ruined a pleasant family getaway. Of course, they would distort it in that direction. They have always had control over the narrative up until now. I called Grandma. She responded right away. Voice is soft but heavy. "Nathan," she asked. "What happened, honey?" I told her everything. I didn't make it overly dramatic. I did not vent. I just lay everything out. How I was requested to pay months ago. How they prepared every aspect without involving me or my children. How I discovered out by accident. And so, when I brought it up, they said I had destroyed the trip simply by being there. She did not interrupt once. After a long pause she stated, "That is not what they told me. They said you refused to go. You claimed you canceled the cards in a fit of wrath." I told her it wasn't even close. She was quiet again. Then she said, "I'm so sorry, Nathan. I don't know what's wrong with them." That was all I needed to know. But the consequences came swiftly. An hour later, I received a text message from my mother. "Did you tell Grandma a warped version of events? Then, Brooke, you're making matters worse. She is old, Nathan. She does not need this much stress." Tyler even joined in. "This is harmful behavior, man. You are turning people against their own families." I finished reading each one without feeling furious or sad. They had excluded me, lied about it, attempted to influence Grandma, and now have the audacity to accuse me of being divisive. So I responded with a final note. Forwarded to the group chat with the four of them. "I'm ceasing to provide financial assistance effective. Immediately. No more vacations, renovations, loans, or we'll pay you back texts. If I'm too different to be a member of the family, I'm also too different to support it. Good luck with the backyard." I pressed send and put my phone down. Nobody replied that night. Not because they were surprised, but because they realized I meant it. About a week after I cut them off, Brooke called me out of nowhere. A full phone call, not just a text. I didn't respond. She left a voicemail with an almost humorous tone, bright and charming, as if we were catching up after a trip. She stated she had been thinking about what I said and that we should all get together soon. She even mentioned that the kids miss you. As if that were a magical phrase. A few days later, Mom texted me a photo of a stack of inexpensive patio stones thrown in their yard. "There are no workers, no development, only a mess." She wrote, "We're still going to try and make it work ourselves. Found a good deal locally." It was a shift. Subtle, careful. Just enough to imply how hard we're working without you. While still offering me a door to crawl through if I wanted to return. I said, "Looks promising. Let me know if you need help hauling." This opened the door just enough, and they walked right in. Mom texted a long essay about how every family goes through seasons and how she hoped I understood that money was not the reason we wanted you around. She explained that we had all gotten a little lost in the planning process, and that it might be time for a reset. Brooke contacted me separately. She said she had been feeling odd since the airport incident and wanted to reconnect. There is no pressure. She asked if we could get coffee next week just to discuss. No expectations. Even Tyler, who normally sent one-word replies or passive-aggressive emojis, texted, "I think I overreacted." We all did. No hard sentiments. It was an impressive shift, similar to a full-fledged rebranding campaign. Suddenly I wasn't toxic, unpredictable, or too unconventional. I was valuable again, useful. So I decided to give them a taste of their own medicine. I informed Brooke that I would love to meet. I selected a date and time. She responded with a heart emoji and even expressed an interest in purchasing. Then, the morning of, I canceled. Said something cryptic about a long work call. She was disappointed, but polite. I completely understand. Let us reschedule soon. We did not. A few days later, Mom asked if I could pitch in a little with gravel delivery. Just $300 will help offset the shortfall. I replied I'd check some things and get back to her. I did not. Dad indicated they were looking into firewood delivery for the winter. They said that the provider they used last year had hiked pricing. I asked him to provide me the URL. I said I would see what I could do. He did. I did not. And each time they followed up, I responded in the same tone they had used with me for years. Empty courtesy, courteous avoidance, and hazy curiosity with no commitment. It worked better than I expected. Brooke became silent first. I stopped responding to even the most basic text messages. Then Mom's communications became shorter, more spread apart, and then stopped entirely. Tyler unfollowed me on Instagram. When October arrived, Dad did not send out his regular happy birthday group text to the entire family. That one was strange. It has been going out like clockwork for 10 years. The funny aspect was that they couldn't say anything about it. I'd done nothing wrong. I had not yelled, cursed, or told them off. I'd just become them. They had always been this version of themselves to me. All promises, no payment. All surface, no substance. And I believe for the first time, they experienced what it was like to be outside of their own games. It must have been hellish. Thanksgiving arrived as it always does, creeping up while you're still certain it's only October. Something was different this year though. My phone remained quiet. Not a single group text from Mom. Brooke also did not provide a passive-aggressive reminder. Please RSVP this year, as she used to do. There will be no half-hearted invitation from Dad, which is generally inserted as a forwarded message, like an afterthought. It was the first occasion in my life that I wasn't invited. I did not say anything. I didn't ask. I didn't send a hello. What's the plan SMS merely to pretend that I wasn't expecting one. Instead, on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I saw it all unfold on social media. Brooke went full Pinterest this year. There was a large table set for 10, with many pumpkins as placeholders, handwritten name cards, and napkins folded into small fans. She captioned it, "Grateful for the real ones." Each chair was full. Each plate has a name. Mine was not one of them. Neither was Lily's nor Ethan's. It was deliberate. It was not about forgetting. It wasn't a miscommunication. They made a choice. No, Nathan. There was no reminder of what had changed. Just a carefully crafted version of family, the one who did not challenge them. They were never asked to feel sorry or responsibility. I did not tell Lily or Ethan anything. We prepared our own dinner. Not turkey. They voted for homemade mac and cheese and waffles. So that is what we did. We ate on the couch, watched old movies, and laughed so hard that I almost forgot what day it was. A few days later, I ran across Rachel again. The parking lot for the grocery shop. Same weird half smile. They did not invite you? She inquired, even though she already knew the answer. Nope, I said. First year. She nodded slowly. Brooke explained to Grandma that it was just easier this way. Less tension means less tension. That's how they put it, cutting me and my children out altogether. They could mute us just like background noise. As if their issue wasn't what they did to me, but how uncomfortable it felt them to look at it. Christmas came next, and I didn't even check my phone. The only snapshot I saw came from a neighbor who follows Brooke on Instagram. She displayed a family photo in front of the fireplace. Matching pajamas, 5 stockings, hot cocoa, as usual. I zoomed in out of curiosity. There were names on the stockings. None for my children. There was no Lily, Ethan or me, not even a just-in-case placeholder hanging at the end. The message could not have been clearer. They weren't simply excluding me. They were deleting us. It seems ridiculous at first. I would be lying if I said otherwise. But the discomfort did not last. It transformed into something colder and quieter. Not bitterness, but distance. I had no idea I could achieve such emotional quiet. By January, I had stopped checking their names in my alerts. I drove Lily and Ethan to Seattle for New Year's. It's just us. We walked around Pike Place Market in the rain, rode the Ferris wheel, purchased costly souvenirs, and stayed in a hotel with a fireplace and robes that made them chuckle. It was not traditional. It was not planned down to the second. It was real. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel as though I was missing anything. I did not feel left out. I felt free. Surprisingly, that was my most financially successful year. I landed 3 new clients. Finally completed a nightmarish project from the previous year, and had more money in my accounts than I'd ever had. I could have purchased Melanie's entire backyard times over. They could have paid for the trip again and upgraded every seat. Could have given them a blank check to show a point. Instead, I constructed a heated driveway in my home and began arranging a summer road vacation with my children. There's no need for group conversation. No approval is required. They stopped inviting me not because I had changed, but because I had ceased following their rules. I stopped making it easy for people to use and disregard me simultaneously. And once the money was gone, and I made it obvious that nothing else came with it, not silence, forgiveness, or a smile, they had no idea how to treat me again. So they didn't. They cut me out for their own comfort. And I stayed outside to keep my peace. 2 months have gone. It was February when I received the envelope. Plain, with no return address. Only my name written in my mother's unsteady handwriting, as if she wasn't sure whether to send it. I stood in the kitchen, staring at it for a while. I could have tossed it, but curiosity won. Inside was a folded note and a check. The letter contained only 2 paragraphs. The first stated that they were reaching out to repair what was left. The second stated that the check was for your half of the Italy vacation, as you did not attend. It went for $3,600. I laughed. Actually laughed. Not because of the quantity, but because they still assumed it was about money. Like they could wrap a ribbon around that week, repay my missing experience, and pretend nothing occurred. As if writing me a check will make up for the way they abandoned me and my children. I did not cash it. I fastened it on the fridge with a magnet and left it there. Tyler sent me a message 3 days later. Only one sentence. We need to talk. I ignored it. Brooke then texted, Grandma's in the hospital. She asked for you. That one made me pause. I called the hospital and confirmed it was correct. She had a mild heart condition, nothing serious, but she had asked for me twice. So I drove up. When I walked in, she smiled like if I hadn't missed a beat. Like we hadn't missed 2 holidays and a dozen family gatherings. We talked for an hour, largely about books, weather, and miscellaneous topics. Then she continued. Don't let them write the ending without you. I wasn't sure what to answer. On the way home I stopped at a diner and sat in my car with a coffee, staring at the check once again in my thoughts. That night, Brooke called again. This time, I picked up. She rushed right in, saying they wanted to reset everything. Said it could be time for a real conversation. She did not apologize. Not precisely. However, she stated that the children inquired as to why they had not seen Lily and Ethan in such a long time. She suggested we get everyone together soon. Then comes the unexpected part. She mentioned that her mother and father were discussing selling the house. She stated that the proceeds from the sale might be put into a pooled account for family purposes. She called, and they hoped I might help construct something for the future. I did not even respond. I've just ended the call. The following morning, I mailed the check back. There's no note, just the check. That was the end. No fighting, no yelling, just silence. Nothing has happened since then. No texts, calls, or phony family brunches. It's as if they sensed I was done playing alone. There is no longer leverage or fallback. The group threads have stopped humming. Birthdays go unmentioned. Rachel told me that the house eventually sold. They purchased a modest property outside the city. Nobody invited me to see it. I don't believe they hate me. I believe I scared them because I was not bitter. I was not dramatic. I did not try to win. I've just departed. And I did not look back.